Hello, Fiona Whitten from Oakville Crafts here, and today I'm coming to you from my craft desk over in San Diego. Yep, this is why I'm actually coming live right at 7:30 UK time rather than my normal 2:30. I'm just kind of hoping that this is actually live, so let me just double check. Apologies for the elbow. Let's see, is it live? Don't know, I don't know. I think so, Let's just try again, see where it's gone to. I thought I saw a notification, but maybe not. Okay, right, hopefully. I have no idea what's happened to it. I'd like to say it was, but I don't know. So I'm going to go for it and see what happens. Hopefully you can hear me and you can see me. Okay, Elaine is watching. Great. So obviously it means that it is working. I just can't see it on my laptop as usual. I really need to figure out how to do all this. So as I said, I'm in San Diego. So first off, apologies. Where the house is, they're currently replacing all the roofs on the houses around us. So you may hear lots of banging and thumping and whatever else and saws going. I've closed all the windows, so hopefully it won't be too bad. And I'll just try and chat as much as possible over it. So I posted the other day a photo of a stepped Z-fold card that I had shared on a Monday Makes with the Acorns. For those of you who don't know, my team are called the Crafting Acorns. And every Monday we try, it doesn't always work, try to get together on Zoom because we're all over the place. And one of us, usually me, will talk through how to make a fun fold card. Sometimes we sort of throw caution to the wind and do a sketch challenge or a colour challenge, but they all much prefer the fun folds. But some of the others do actually take it in turn and give me a week off, and they will do one instead. But this is the basis of the stepped Z-fold card that I'm going to share with you today. I stupidly didn't bring the original with me. Before I came to San Diego, myself and some friends were over in New York. We had a girly few days away to celebrate some big birthdays, both mine and good friend Esther's. And sadly, we were there at the time that they announced the death of Her Majesty as well. So that kind of put a little bit of a damper on it, but we still managed to soldier on and see what we wanted to see around New York. Lots of walking. I can't believe how much I walked. Some days was over 10 miles, which is, for me, is like, that's unheard of, but there you go. Anyway, I digress. So this is the basis of the card that I'm going to share with you today. I haven't decorated this one because I just simply wanted to show you this is how easy it is to make. So it starts off life as a piece of plain cardstock, which you score twice to create your Z-fold. And then these steps here are simply rectangular pieces of cardstock and double-sided paper. Now, I saw this on Pinterest, and I can't for the life of me say who it was now that I inspired me. I think it was Sam from, oh, I don't know, I can't remember from where it is now, but I will post it. It's on my blog as to who it was if you want to go check. But I've changed it slightly in that I wanted to make it easy for me. So that is once I've worked out all the dimensions. So rather than following hers, which made a 5x7 card, I wanted to make a standard UK size. So this is 15 centimeters tall. and the finished card is 10.5 centimetres wide. So this will fit into a standard envelope here in the UK. So that's the basis of it. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to make it. So as I said, start with a piece of, this is thick basic white. You can use any colour cardstock that you like that will coordinate with your double-sided paper. It's really up to you. So you're going to take your cardstock, and on the long side you're going to cut it at 15 centimetres. So you've got the whole of the width of the A4, and then it's almost in half, but not quite. So it's 15 centimetres. The reason I went for 15 centimetres is because it's a lot easier to divide 15 by 5 than it is 14.9 by 5. So that was the reason I went with that. And then on the long side, you want to turn it. Just moving things out the way, and hopefully you can still see this. I actually need to go that way. We're going to cut it at 20.5. So just taking off a little piece, you're just taking off 0.5 centimetre. And then on that long side, you are going to score it at 10.5. Making sure that you remove your cutting blade, which is the dark one, move that one out the way and use your scoring blade. So I'm going to line it up with 10.5. Which leaves me 10 centimetres that way. So I'm then going to move it to 15.5 and score it again. Oops. 15.5, which is there. So again, I'm going to score it. So this is creating the base card with the Z fold on it. So you are going to simply fold the card in half, although it's not quite half, as you will see. Burnish that fold really well with your bone folder, and then you're going to fold back that flap on itself to create the Z. And again, you want to burnish it really well. So that is the basis of the Z fold, which hopefully you can see from the top there. Blade is really sharp. So I'm just going to flatten these edges slightly with the bone folder as well. Like so. Right, so that is the basic card. So I'm going to put that to one side, and then I am going to bring back in what's left of that A4 sheet. And then the next portion is to cut the 5 steps. So these 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. So we're going to cut these so that the first one is 10.5 centimetres wide. So let's see, 10.5. So we're going to cut this at 10.5. Like so. And I'm just initially going to cut all 5 the same, so they're all going to be 5 centimetres by 10.5. Then so that means 3 centimetres by 10.5. 10.5 being the width of the card, so I know that that will then go all the way across from side to side, like so. You don't need to worry too much at this point about keeping these in order. So that's 3, 4, So I've got 2 pieces of scrap that I can just put to one side. So I've now got my 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the bottom piece is going to go straight across, so I don't need to cut that, which means that each of the other cards, the panels, I'm going to take off 1 centimetre at a time. So that means that the next one up will be 9.5, 10.5 less 1 is 9.5. So that will go there. The next one will be 8.5. The one after that will be 7.5. So I'm decreasing by 1 centimetre each time. And then the last one will be 6.5. So that will give me my 5 steps. The first one going right across, the next one being a centimetre shorter, next one another centimetre, next one another one, and then the last one another centimetre. So this gives you your steps. Okay, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to choose our double-sided paper. So I have with me, well, I say have with me, it was already here. This is called Designer Daydream, and it's the 12 by 12 paper that's available as a host set that you will find in the main annual catalogue. Host set means that if you host a party or place an order yourself, which comes to £150 worth or more, then you get these Stampin rewards, and they can be used against anything in the catalogue, but they can also be used against, or for, I should say, the host sets, which are at special reduced host prices. They cannot be bought just as a normal order. They can only be bought with Stampin rewards. So this is the paper that I'm using. I mean, it's a ginormous stack of paper. It's like 48 sheets. Oops. Well, was 48 sheets because now I've dropped some. So you can see there is lots here. Lots of stripes. So there's all sorts here. So it's a very versatile pack. But so that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to use these 2 pieces. And it's up to you. Because these panels are fairly narrow, you might not want to have a big pattern on it. But then again, you might. And it also depends on whether you really like to have things lined up, or whether you're quite happy to have the paper sort of not following on from each piece. So I'm going to use this as my first piece to go onto these steps. So this first one is 10.5 centimetres wide. So I'm going to cut this down the whole length at 10, because then I know at least the first one will fit on. It's 3 centimetres here, so that means I want 2.5 centimetres. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again that I did with the cardstock, and I'm just going to cut strips. But this time, if you're not worried about which order they go in, then don't worry about it. You can just put them on your strips however you like. But I've decided that I'm going to try, notice I say try, to keep mine in order. So as I'm cutting them, I'm just putting them on my trimmer in the order that I want them. So I've got 3, there's 4, and then my last one, 5. So those are my 5 pieces. And again, the bottom one does not need to be cut any further because it will just go, it will be glued directly onto that first bottom panel. So working my way up and making sure I keep these in order and always having the left hand side the same way. So I'm cutting off the right. So I know that the next one along needs to be 9 because it's 1 centimetre smaller than the previous one. So that one's going to be 9. This one's going to be 8. The next one is going to be 7. And the one after that, 6. I'm sorry I can't see comments. If you have made a comment, if you've got any questions, please ask, and I promise to come back and answer them. This will also go up on YouTube, and I'll put on there the written instructions for this, for just the cutting. And obviously you can follow the video if you want to know exactly in more detail what it is that you need to do. So we're going to start with gluing the paper onto these strips. I find it useful to glue them all in order and then just simply place them back onto or to one side in the right order, so that I know that I am putting them and the design will, in theory, match up. So it's important to try and keep equal gaps left and right so that you can see. Now, is that right? Yep. See that pattern then will follow up. Obviously with this design it's not going to be so noticeable. If you have flowers then or other sorts of patterns, then yes, that will be more noticeable, and you really probably do want to make sure that you have everything in order. So that's the penultimate one. And I can notice I've got a bit of glue oozing out of there, so bear with me and I'll tackle that in a minute. That's that. That doesn't look right, but it is. And then this one. Like so. So those are the pieces that I need, and then all there is to do is to glue these onto this folded back panel, but I would glue them one at a time. So if you actually put the glue on the panel rather than on this, that way you know you're not going to have too much glue oozing out. So if you put on the bottom to start off with, and then the aim is to line up so that the right hand edge matches the right hand edge of the card, and then the bottom also lines up like so. That's quite important because you've got 5 pieces that will add up to 15, so you don't really want to have anything hanging over. So you do need to be careful to make sure that when you glue that bottom one is lined up correctly and not short of that bottom edge. again, second one, again, we're going to put some glue on there. And this time you want to line it up so that the card going up is all lined up, and then the two pieces are butted together like so. Obviously the right hand edge is not going to be glued down because that's so that you can open and close the card. And then I've just done exactly what I told you not to do. I'm obviously not paying attention. Right, let's see now. Let's take that off and put that in the bin so that I don't. Right, so I'm going to let that dry for a second because I don't want to glue it now. And whilst that's doing, we can be getting on with the inside anyway. So we have a piece of cardstock that we want, cardstock paper that we want to cut to go in here. And then we also want, well, it's up to you actually, you can put some more paper here, or you can opt to stamp. This time I think I'm going to stamp. This particular one I used some different paper so that you had a contrast. And then I cut it so that it was 4.5 by 15 centimetres, and then I cut it from the top left and made sure that there was 2 centimetres here. I didn't want to have it as a full piece simply because it would fill up too much of the inside of the card. I thought it would be quite nice to have that edge like that, and then when it's closed, it just gives a nice contrast to the steps. As I said, alternatively, you can just stamp, which is what I will be doing in a minute. But in the meantime, I want to put some paper here. So I've got that one. I'm going to use this one. That's going to go in there. So I need to cut that to be 4.5 by 14.5. But actually, you know what? I've already cut that other piece, so I'm going to use that. Rather than starting a new piece, I'm just going to use this. So it needs to be 4.5. You don't have to use different paper, you can use exactly the same. And 4 by 14.5, so 4.5 by 14.5. And that will then get glued in here, like so. And then by the time I've done that, hopefully all those other bits will have dried sufficiently that I can then carry on. So that goes in there like that. And then we're going to continue with these. Let's see how sticky that is. And then also got to figure out which way it goes on. It's not very clever of me. That way. An eraser. For those of you who haven't seen it, Stampin' Up used to have this eraser that you could use on glue. I don't know why they stopped doing it. It looks like this. It looks like a biscuit. You can still get it in other craft shops, but it's great for taking off glue that is not wanted. It works best when the glue is dry. So if you find that you are a little bit generous when it comes to the glue, or if like me you've put it in the wrong place, then let it dry and then you can take it off. So just bear with me a moment whilst I do this. In fact, if that's the piece that needs to get stuck on, which it is, then I'm not too worried about that bit because it's going to get hidden by the, because it's going to be underneath. So we put that one on. So that's rescued, thank goodness. And then I'm going to put this penultimate one on. Like so. And then the smallest one is going to go on there, which looks like somewhere I've not cut something correctly. Let's see if I can trim it. I need to trim it quite a bit. Not good. I'm just going to glue it over the top for the time being. I will fix this. There was one that I said that I wasn't too sure if it was right, and I suspect it's that one. I could pull it off, which is what I'm doing, and I'm just going to trim it slightly. Maybe I won't pull it off, it's not going to look so good. So I'm just going to put that on, and I will tuck it underneath, I think, like so, rather than on top. That works. You wouldn't notice from the front or even from the back really. So if you tuck it under the one below, then you can get away with it. Yay! Quick fix. Just take off that excess glue that I had on that one, and I've also obviously put it on my fingers. I'm going to decorate that anyway. So that's it all glued together. And then really what's left is to decorate it. And that's the fun part. So it's, as I said, this is very simple to do. It's not too onerous. Those of you who know me know that I really don't like really hard cards. So my cards tend to be, they look good. They look hard, but actually when you break it down, they are simple. So how am I going to decorate it? Well, I have brought with me the Cottage Rose stamp set. So this is a new stamp set to me. It's in the annual catalogue, and it's one of the ones that will be used for World Card Making Day, which is on the 1st of October. So those of you who are able to join us, Stampin' Up are having an event. If you visit my blog, which is overfillcrafts.com, and also in my newsletters, there's all details and links of how to register if you want to, or alternatively just join on the day. You don't actually need to register. Registrations is just simply so that you are kept up to date with what's going on. So I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use the large stamp. And obviously at the moment I don't need to decide which way I'm going to put it. So I'm simply going to cut this cardstock down. So this is just the normal basic white. I am going to use blends, but I usually just use mine on the normal basic white rather than the, let's see, I'm going maybe 8 centimeters. Like that. And I'm going to use my Memento ink. Which hopefully, yes, it is inking up. Stamp on here. so. This table that I'm using has a bit of give in it, so I'm hoping that it will come out okay. Okay, right, so I was really messy. I've obviously got ink on the edges of this, but because I'm die cutting it, I'm not too worried about it. Normally, I would say to you, double check your edges before you stamp. So I can see some residual stuff there. And make sure they're clean before they you stamp. And it's simply because I've obviously got stuff on there, and then when I've pushed down, I've rocked it slightly, and it's then gone onto the actual cardstock. So I'm going to stamp a couple of extra leaves. Maybe I'll put that way. Like so. And then I'm going to get my dies. And this is where I find out that it doesn't fit through my mini machine. Didn't think to check the catalogue. So I want this one. And I want this one. This will. That's not a problem. I don't know about the other. All right, so let's try it. So my mini machine, open that up, and I need my plates because I'm die cutting. I need my number 1 plate, and I need my 2 number 2 plates, and that's all I need for this. This one's the flatter of the 2, I think that one. So we're going to go for this, and I've also got some washi tape to hold it, because I'm afraid that it might just go walkabouts otherwise. Let's see, goes that way. So I can put that and that through at the same time, which is good. And then all I have to do is find the washi tape. This is some old Stampin' Up tape. I've had for a few years now. Trying to line them up. Right, that's that one. And this one. Seems to be easier said than done. I don't really want it to stick to the image, but there we go. Put that through. Being a straight outline dies, they should be fairly simple. They're not intricate ones, so one pass will be enough. So there's one image. Let's take that off. Cool. Can't believe how sticky that tape is. And there's the other one. And then I just need to do that last one. I wanted some extra leaves. So sorry, I've got this in front of me so I can actually see it. So that's the second one. So you can see what I meant by the fact that because we've die cut that, you're not going to get those edges. There we go. Let's put this out of the way. Bring back my card. Take that off, it can get thrown away. So I have this piece and I have some extra leaves that I wanted that I will put in like so, I think. But before I do that, I would colour this. I'm not going to do it now simply because it's going to take a little while. But I'm going to use my Stampin' blends, and for that I've got my Daffodil Delight, my Petal Pink, don't need that. I've also got my Old Olive, Pool Party and Mint Macaron. So Pool Party, that one and that one. And then I've got Mint Macaron as well. So I will use those colours to do that. And then I think I might also add a birthday sentiment, but I'll see how it goes. And then this piece here, as I said, you can stamp or you can put some paper on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp, but I'm going to use this smaller stamp here. I'm just going to simply use it multiple times. And stamp. So I want to make sure that it covers that corner as much as possible. Let's see, not quite. And again, I've managed to make a little bit of a boo-boo on that. Let's see if I can obliterate it. There we go. Now, normally I would suggest that you could colour these, but if you do, you run a chance of it bleeding through the back. So just be aware of that. Right, now where's that offending piece that's got the ink on it? I think that's it there. Okay, right. And then we're going to put that on. And then I would use the same stamp again to stamp onto the envelope. I quite like it as that. I should do a little bit of colouring, I think. As I said, I'm using Petal Pink. This is the lighter of the two, so you can be quite generous and just go over the whole of the flower with this. And then you would want to add in your highlights using the darker. So that's that. So then, and the nice thing about this image is it actually shows you where to put in the darker highlights. So talk about making it easy. I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but quite. So that's added the highlights on that piece. Now let's see how it's gone. Yeah, now you'll see what I mean by about the fact that it bleeds through. So you wouldn't want that on the back of your card, nor would you want it on your envelope. So if you are planning on stamping on your envelope and then colouring it, then the best thing to do is to simply put a piece of cardstock in the envelope underneath where your stamped image is, so that when you colour it, it doesn't bleed through. It will just go onto that scrap piece that you have in between. I think I'm going to add some daffodil to the centre. Oh dear. I think that end of that one's a bit sad. That's that. And I think I'm going to go over this again with some more, with some darker, just to add some extra. And you can add different colours to make it have slightly different tones. I haven't experimented. Well, I have experimented in certain, but not in front of people. Let's see, we'll do some leaves. Can be old olive. This is the lighter one, believe it or not. I tend to use the smaller nib rather than the brush when I'm doing sort of smaller areas. The brush is great for large areas, and I also find it's good for adding like little detail. Double check that that is dark. Let's see what the end looks like. Okay, so I'll just use this to add a few bits. You know, I don't like that. I will use the smaller end after all. And then I'll go over it again with some of the light and blend it in. Bit of glue. It looks bad when you first start blending it in. You're just putting extra colour on, but once the alcohol evaporates, it all calms down. And just quickly do that bit. And last but not least, I'm going to put a little bit of colour on these, I think. But I'm only going to put a little bit because I'm not quite sure what. I'll just add some little details. And use the yellow just to tie it all in. So that will go on here like that, and then I shall add my sentiment, and I need to do my other leaves as well. Now, as you can see, it's sort of starting to come together now. Where's the other one gone? There. So by the time I've finished it, then I think that'll tuck in there. If you do want to colour these, then what I would suggest you did was to actually stamp them onto scrap, colour them, die cut them, and then stick them on, and then you can trim the edges, and that way it won't show as having bled through. So that's the sort of my main card. Hope you've enjoyed seeing how to make the stepped effect. As I said, it is pretty simple. I will finish that off, and I promise I will post photos of it later today. and the video, once I get the chance, will get uploaded to YouTube. Quick mention that the stamp sale tomorrow starts in the UK at 11 o'clock tonight. It runs 24 hours and there's 15% off all the stamps in the annual catalogue, with the exception of the host set stamps. Those are the things that I was talking about earlier, where you can, they're a special price, so you can only purchase them with your Stampin' rewards. So they're excluded from the sale, but everything else, when it comes to stamps, be they photopolymer or red rubber, they are in the sale, which is a 24-hour sale starting at 11 p.m. this evening. Yes, it's the 14th today, because it basically runs most of tomorrow. I will be back next week with another Stampin' and Creating at the same time. There's no card and a cuppa this month because I'm away. If you do want the card and the cuppa kits, those ordering for that closes next week, and as does the Christmas stamper stack on the 15th of October. All those details can be found on my blog, which is oakvillcrafts.com, and then just simply click on the tab at the top that says classes, kits and tutorials, and there's a pop down and you can then go to the appropriate part. Okay, well, thank you for watching. As I said, please, if you've got any questions, comments, leave them, and I will promise to get back to you as soon as I can. Take care now. Bye.